Hey, it's Lawyer Vince, and welcome back to the How to Convince podcast. This is a space where we turn real world conversations into powerful tools for clarity, confidence, and calm authority without ever needing to raise your voice. I'm glad you're here. And before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if something resonates, drop a comment. That's how we grow this movement of people learning to speak up, protect their peace, and show up with strength. Today's episode is all about something every professional needs: how to set better boundaries at work. If you've ever felt drained by coworkers, steamrolled by managers, or guilt-tripped into staying late just this once for the fifth time this week, this is for you. I'm breaking it down into 3 clear steps with real client stories, scripts you can use right away, and a Q&A segment at the end. And stick around. I'll also tell you how to work with me one-on-one. So let's get into it. Most boundary issues start with a lack of clarity. We don't realize we've been pushed too far until it's already happened. Step 1 is simple. Define your boundary before it gets tested. That means 1, know what workload is sustainable for you. 2, recognize behaviors that drain or disrespect you. And 3, understand when helping out turns into being used. One of my clients, let's call her Olivia, is a project manager at a tech company. She kept getting last-minute urgent requests from a VP, always at 4 p.m. for things due the next day. She didn't want to seem unhelpful, so she said yes over and over and over again. In coaching, I had her track the time she spent on these last-minute asks. 6 hours a week. That's 24 hours a month, a part-time job. So once she saw the cost, she was shocked. I told her to start saying this phrase: I'm currently at capacity, but I can revisit this once my current priorities are complete. Translation: I'm not available on your rush timeline, but I'm not going to ignore you either. Right? And guess what? The late asks stopped. People adjusted. The key takeaway here is that you can't protect a boundary you haven't defined. Clarity isn't rude, it's responsible. Now on to step 2. Once you know your boundary, speak it clearly, not passively, not aggressively, just clearly. Okay, let's talk about a phrase that went viral on my page. Your urgency is not my emergency. You ever get that 5 p.m. email that says, hey, can you get this done ASAP? And you're thinking, you knew about this yesterday. Here's how to respond. 1, happy to help. Let's talk through timelines and priorities so I can fit this in realistically. Translation: if this is urgent, something else is getting bumped, so let's be honest about that. 2, that won't be possible on short notice, but I can support in a limited capacity. Translation: I'm setting a boundary while still being a team player. Another client of mine, let's call him Marcus, works in finance. His boss kept calling after hours to go over numbers. It was cutting into time with his kids. So we came up with this script. Just a heads up, I'm offline after 6 p.m. to be present with my family. If it's urgent, send me an email and I'll handle it first thing tomorrow. The calls, they stopped. His reputation, stronger than ever. And the key takeaway here is that boundaries don't damage your reputation. They define it. Now on to step 3. This is where most people fold, enforcing the boundary once it's tested. And trust me, it will get tested. People will either try to charm their way past it, guilt you into bending it, or even pretend they didn't even see it at all. So here's the deal. Every time you let it slide, you're teaching them that they can cross it. One of my clients, let's call her Bree. She works in marketing. She made it clear to her team, I log off Slack at 7 p.m. But they kept tagging her anyways, right? So I gave her this response. Just a reminder that I log off at 7 p.m. and won't be checking messages until tomorrow morning. I'll follow up that. She sent it twice. The third time, she didn't respond at all. And 2 months later, she actually got promoted. Not because she overextended herself, but because she showed she could be counted on without burning out. The takeaway here is that we don't need to yell. We don't need to argue. Just hold the line. Consistency is what builds respect. Now it's time for the Q&A section. I picked 5 questions straight from your replies to the newsletter, and I've got to say, these were really good, thoughtful, real world, and exactly the kind of questions that helps everyone listening. So question 1, what if my boss doesn't respect boundaries? This is such an important question, and one I hear often. Start by making your boundary unmistakably clear and put it in writing. For instance, follow up a conversation with a quick email that says, as discussed, I'll be logging off at 6 p.m. moving forward. If the behavior continues, escalate calmly and professionally. That might mean looping in HR or leaning in on a trusted internal ally. And don't underestimate the power of documentation. It's not about being difficult. It's about being clear, consistent, and communicative. Question 2. How do I say no without sounding like I'm not a team player? That's a great question because perception matters. This comes down to how you say no. So try this. I want to give this the attention it deserves, but with my current workload, that's not realistic today. Would it work if I circled back by Thursday? See, you're not rejecting the request. You're offering a realistic path forward. You're showing you care about the team and the quality of your work. That's leadership, not avoidance. Question 3. What if I feel guilty after setting a boundary? Honestly, I love this question because it gets to the emotional core of things, right? Here's the truth. Feeling guilty doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you're doing something new. Many of us were raised to think that saying no is selfish, but boundaries aren't rejection. Remember that. They're instructions for how people can engage with you in a way that respects your capacity. So let the guilt come up, let it pass, but don't let it dictate your choices. Question 4. How do I deal with over-helpful coworkers who cross lines? All right. So this is such a relatable scenario and one that's often more about miscommunication than malice. So people who overstep often believe they're being helpful. So respond with clarity, not confrontation. Try this. Hey, I really appreciate you jumping in. I've got this one covered, but I'll definitely reach out if I need help. That keeps the relationship warm while reinforcing your own autonomy. Now let's do the last question. Question 5. Can I set boundaries if I'm new? Absolutely. And thank you for asking this because it's one of the biggest misconceptions. Being new doesn't mean being without boundaries. In fact, it's the best time to set the tone. You might say, since I'm new, I want to be as effective as possible, and I work best with a little structure. I typically log off around 6, but I'm always responsive first thing next day. That shows you're serious, professional, and self-aware, even as you get acclimated. Now, that's it for the Q&A this week. But remember, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to my weekly newsletter. That way, you're getting new tips every single week, and you can send in your questions through my newsletter for a chance to be featured in the next week's podcast. So, here's the bottom line. You don't have to mirror someone else's panic to prove you care. Panic is contagious, but so is calm. Boundaries don't make you hard to work with. They make you clear. And clarity builds trust. If this episode helped you, hit subscribe. And if you made it to the end, comment, clarity is strength. And if you're ready to go deeper, I offer private coaching. The link's in the description. And as always, I try to connect with as many of you as I possibly can, but there are only so many spots. So if you don't get accepted right away, don't get discouraged. I see you. I appreciate you. And that's it for this episode. As always, I'm so grateful that you are here. This has been How to Convince with Lawyer Vince. See you same time next week.